Stage 7.2 sounds simple enough. Move up to position 5 and get in some drafting. So we've got to do a full kilometer of drafting, and it doesn't say which position we have to do it on. And I don't know if it's cumulative or if it's just an individual car. Well, I'm going to do what I like to do in these situations, and that is I want to get up to position 5 first. And then I'll get in my drafting maybe on position 4, or I might draft on position 5 before I pass. We'll just see. Didn't say anything about going off track, but like I said, I want to keep this on track. I talked about that in the previous video. We don't know what's coming up. We don't know how demanding it's going to be. So it's best to hone our skills on this track while we can. So there I was totally off track. If this was a no off track event, I definitely would have failed. And that also hurt my speed run. Now I can afford that on this stage. Like I've got several laps to make up this difference. Ooh, that was really close. I won't be able to afford that on other stages. And yeah, coming through here, if you get this right, it's a wonderful place to gain on the bots and even get in some overtakes. Now, tapping like that, it's not ideal. Obviously, I really wrecked my speed run, so I'm going to try to tuck in. Oh, wow, look at that. That's, wow. At this speed, that amount of drafting gets done really fast. Now, I think I can brake early and get a nice... Okay, I didn't mean to bump past him, but there you go. I did a bump pass. I'm not sure if that's a term, but I've used that term lots. I'm pretty sure I've heard that used in racing before. And so just one more guy to pass, and I went off track again. Okay, well, I got to really dial in some of these points here because I am very much expecting this to get a lot harder. As you might recall, if you've watched this whole series, I went up to upgrades 3, 3, 3, 3 at the end of day 1. There was instant R&D being offered for a 3-hour period on day 1, and I just couldn't pass it up. Lately, it takes a long time to apply upgrades for me. Ads are at least 30 seconds long, and there's at least a 30-second, sometimes a 1-minute break between ads. And if you got to watch a whole bunch to get through 12 or 24 hours of speeding up your upgrades, it just takes a while. And also, I thought that it would be a lot harder than this, so we'll see what happens. We'll see if that was too many upgrades or whether that was just enough for me. I'm also not as worried about it because these new M dollars, they're not near as hard to acquire as gold is. That's what I'm finding, at least. Don't know what you guys are finding. Now, that lap time was better than my best lap time yesterday, so I'm still trying to improve. Whew, that was really close. You really have to know how far you can push the limits in your cars. Now, I've spent a lot of time at this track, as well as most tracks, seeing where the limits are. And the easiest way to do that is enter a time trial event, and as you get to the corners, slow down and slowly go back and forth, seeing how close you can get to being totally off track until it gives you a penalty. And it's great because it gives you that big penalty and you know exactly when you went off track. Now, you could also do this in an endurance race, but you're going to run out of time eventually. So in a time trial, you can just keep doing that on every single corner. And then you just have to log that into your brain. How far could I go before I got a penalty? And start working on it live or in an actual time trial. So that's why you sometimes see me going into places that it looks like I shouldn't be able to drive there. Well, that's because I've tested all of the limits. And there are people who definitely can push it further than I can. It's one thing to be right on the edge when you're going like 10 kilometers an hour or whatever, 8 miles an hour. It's another thing to do that when you're going 2, 3, 400. It's a lot harder to gauge it then. Okay, so as you can see here, I've overshot what I was supposed to do because I'm just trying to see how good can I do this. Am I getting good at this track? I'm in this car. It's one thing to know a track, then you've got to dial it in for that particular car you're driving in. I've mentioned this in other videos, but I haven't mentioned it in this series, I don't think. For no assist driving, once you learn a track, it's not too hard to drive that track in another car. You just end up making small adjustments to your braking points. So For most cars, you don't have to adjust all that much. For some cars, it's a massive adjustment. Like, if I was in maybe one of those really fast Koenigsegg's, I would have to use more braking points and brake substantially earlier because they're so fast. You know, I'm going to have to let that guy get back in front of me. And where's fifth? There you go. Yeah, I'm supposed to be in fifth place. Okay, so that was a longer race. Hope you found some beneficial tips there. And I'll show you the final numbers here. Curious if I got what my best lap time was, because I'm still trying to improve. Yesterday it was 114.34, I believe. So, yeah, not too bad. Oh, 112.8. Actually, that's really good. I'm happy with that. All right, well, let's get on to that next stage.